bags, Paul.
I'm crossing you in style someday.
Typical day. Here early in the morning, you'd be surprised how many people start work at 6 in the morning. We start getting the job really going, then it's time for breakfast.
Thanks, Adam.
People that ask where you're going, do you go to Tilbury?
The duty free's up.
Oh, yeah. This is duty free open.
On the HZ, it looks like a road. They don't realise that it stops. And sometimes they come aboard the ferry. They go, they just followed the traffic, basically.
Yeah.
And they're on here, they panic.
It's the crack of dawn and crew 2 are preparing for the day ahead.
It's different every day. You never know what vehicle's going to come on here. Old fire engines, old cars, which I'm into. It's the Maharishi's group that come over here on oxen carve, and all the people with the bells and have to clear up behind them after the oxen leave because they get a bit nervous on here.
The Woolwich Ferry, chugging across the Thames between the north and south circular roads. It's been here for over 100 years. The James Newman, John Burns and the Ernest Bevan make 12 trips an hour across the river, 362 days a year.
The only thing that stops us is fog. I think it stopped 2 or 3 times for extremely high winds, but then most people stop in hurricane winds.
But crew 2's days might be numbered.
20 odd years I've been here. We're all time served men. We was in the Merchant Navy before as engineers, and I'm pretty fortunate really. I got a job within my trade quite near home, you know, on the Woolwich Ferry.
It's all yours, you can take it away.
Radio, Fred, thank you. I've worked with some smashing firms over the years on the river that have unfortunately gone now because, as you can see, the river is empty now. But they absolutely waste this highway that runs through. But I ended up here because it was the end of the line.
But do the plans for 2 new road crossings and a rail tunnel mean it's the end of the line for the ferry? It'll be the new Mayor of London who decides.
You have to wait for the span to drop for obvious reasons. If you push the gates too early, the span will crash. Because that man up there's in control of the lowering of the spans. Hold this lorry back, so if he gets any large vehicles coming down, they can swing over. They don't, if he was down here, they wouldn't be able to swing over, so we hold him back for a minute.
The ferry is not as reliable as a fixed crossing, a bridge or a tunnel. At the moment, from Blackwall to Dartford, over 13 miles, there isn't a single crossing except where we are now, the Woolwich Ferry. And so the justification for the ferry is going to diminish with the arrival of the new crossings.
But it's still undecided. The possible plans include a road bridge 1.5 miles downstream, a rail tunnel underneath the Woolwich Ferry, and another road bridge upstream linking the Dome with the Royal Docks.
They wouldn't be able to have a bridge at this point. It'd have to be so high, it'd have to be over the height of the spans that we're coming into now, so the run-off points for the roads would have to be so long that it would be impossible, if you look over at Woolwich there, to get a run-off point. But there will be bridges nearby, but I would doubt whether they'd ever be right at this spot.
Well, we've always got this threat of the East London River crossing. We're all sure that eventually that will go across. I think once the bridge goes across, I think we can safely say that'll probably be the end of the Woolwich Ferry, even though it's been here about 110, 111 years. I'd like to say for the younger men here that I hope that's not too soon, because obviously employment's employment, you know, and not only that, it's an unusual job to do, really, you know, in the city of London.
Morning, ladies. Morning, ladies.
Most days I use the ferry. I travel from Plumstead Common, come down to Woolwich on the bus, and then hop over the water on the ferry.
58!
It's probably the quickest way because the nearest stations to catch the new underground, the traffic is horrendous, so it's still quicker to come this way. It runs every 5 minutes or so and it only takes a few minutes to cross, so I really don't think that they can improve the ferry service.
Like thousands of others, Kim's journey would be long and complicated without the ferry. Commerce would suffer too.
It's a very important link for local business traffic, but it's also a very useful connection for a lot of people who perhaps live on the south side but work on the north side. It's coping very well. The crews operate it very efficiently. They get people on and off the boat very rapidly.
Make me sweat like
The ferry's unique design allows them to turn in any direction through 360 degrees, making them easily manoeuvrable.
Like a flower bending in the breeze. Bend with me, sway with ease. When we dance, you have a way with me. Stay with me, sway with me. Other dancers may...
I'm a charge hand here, so it's my job to make sure that the place is nice and clean, the ferry's loaded in a safe and sufficient manner. Yeah, a lot of the lorry drivers get to know pretty regular, and car drivers, first thing in the morning and rush hour of an evening, they use it like 5 days a week, so you get to know them on a daily basis. You can normally tell what time of the day it is when they're coming down, like, you know.
I use the ferry about 3 or 4 times a week. It's a lot easier than sort of going to Dartford, or the truck won't fit through Blackwall Tunnel because of the height of the trailer. Dartford Tunnel charged £2.70, so it's a lot easier to use the ferry.
An emergency arises, you should proceed to the next.
It's all right. Normally they all sit in their cabs or they get out and have a smoke. It's the crew, all right. You can have a laugh and a joke with them when they're waiting to open the gates. They just try and cram as many people on as they can.
But sometimes the ferries can cause jams.
If there's a delay, it backs right up round the roundabout, and everything just comes to a standstill. But the crew do what they can.
The maintenance men do their best too. One of the 2 loading ramps is out of action.
The bridge been out of commission now for about 2 months. With the wear and tear, it's working all day up and down. Rollers are beginning to wear and they've got to be renewed. Ironwork's broken away and they've got to be welded up. And say they've finished the thing now. With a bit of luck, it'll go back into commission today.
We're getting to the stage now where we can test all the safety circuits and the full operation of the spans, and then we report back to the management that it's safe and ready to go.
Well, the trouble with one ramp is that we have to get the proper loading. Delays it a bit sometimes, or we can't get as much big stuff on, but we just try and do our best and keep everyone happy, you know.
They get more cars on than what they do lorries because we're carrying weight.
You get some irate drivers, especially if they've been waiting a long time, if there's been a delay.
Just before Christmas, they had must have been a kamikaze driver in his BMW. He tried to jump the ramp as it was going up. He landed on the deck, but he hit 2 cars. They weren't very happy about that.
Crazy drivers are the least of their worries. A previous plan to replace the ferry with a road bridge failed because of environmental protests, but neglect of the ferry in the run-up to its expected closure took its toll.
This is ready for you to burn that off now.
Is it only taking the beam out, Mick, or what?
That's all he said to me.
These bridges are so old now, and the electrical contacts up the top, they're working every 10 minutes up and down over a period of years, over 30 odd years, and so it's a progressively maintenance hazardous job as it goes all the time, you know.
What do the passengers think about it?
They seem to accept it to a degree. There's plenty of aggro here, but it's not so much from us from the maintenance, it's the road staff that get the aggro, where the traffic's queued up right the way around the terminal, you know.
They're all right, we deal with it. Once we explain what happens, they're quite all right about it. And they get used to it. Some people go around Batley Tunnel, but most of them are all right.
GLR 94.9 with 2020 travel from Scotland Yard. Well, traffic this morning looking particularly bad anti-clockwise on the M25.
However, 13 miles downstream at Dartford, the QE2 bridge hasn't been able to solve the problem of traffic jams either.
Sheer weight of traffic to blame following the earlier breakdown, which has now been recovered from the tunnel itself. Also in the Dartford...
Back at Woolwich, the ferry has got its own problems. Unbeknown to passengers, they may be stranded. The one remaining loading ramp has broken down. It could be a long wait for people wanting to board.
Normally, half hour, 40 minutes at most, if it's all working properly. But today you've got one barrier out, so you're a bit of a gridlock today.
Once they're working, it's usually all right. It's usually a lot quicker than this. But other than that, just got to grin and bear it.
So if we take it up, take it out of Sprague's, and then we go down about 6 foot over. We had a burnout on a cable this morning, but unfortunately this bridge has been under maintenance, so it ended up that you had no way of getting the passengers or the lorries off the ferry. It's a bit like a motorway really. On a motorway you have roadworks done on it all the time, and these are the same. The amount of traffic that these take is just like having roadworks, you know. So.
Building road bridges may seem like the best way to avoid snarl-ups, but is it?
If both of the road crossings were built, it would definitely kill the ferry, and that would be a very great shame. I think it would inevitably add to the amount of road traffic in the Thames Gateway corridor, and that's got to be disadvantageous to the local communities because it's going to lead to more congestion and more pollution.
One should not look at this as road building. This is actually linking two sides. This is bridging two sides of London. We do need the crossings to increase the confidence and transport and regeneration flexibility in the whole area.
But once again, Dennis and the lads have saved the day for the ferry.
So we had to temporarily reinstate this bridge to get the traffic off, then we've repaired this other bridge, so now we've gone back to this one in maintenance now.
Ferry 3, Ferry 3, Ferry 4. Ferry 3 receiving.
So we deal with over 2.5 million foot passengers and passengers a year. And I think this year we've had one letter of complaint, which, let's face it, for public services is not too sad. We could run all night, if you like, and there would always be somebody that would want to use the ferry, but it's a very costly service. The actual cost of the ferry is borne by the Department of Transport. And I think this year's budget was close on to £4.75 million.
Part of that cost is keeping one of the 3 ferries out of action for running repairs. At the moment, it's the Ernest Bevan receiving a facelift.
Well, considering their age, I think they're doing quite well. They're getting old now, but they're still in fair condition for their age. Well, there's rumours that they're going to last till about 2007, which is coming up for their age. They'll be forecasted sort of sell-by date by then. But apart from that, it's all rumours about bridges and that sort of thing. So
these boats are getting old and they're getting rusty, and as you see where we took the decking up there, all that's got to be cut out and all the steel's got to be renewed, and that's on all 4 quarters of the vessel. Things do deteriorate, and it was an 8-week cycle ever changing the boats round, but seeing these in disrepair, they've been on for months and months.
Although maintaining the Woolwich Ferry doesn't come cheap, the capital cost of 2 more road bridges is much, much higher. In 1996, it was estimated at nearly £400 million. So who's paying?
The funding is expected to come from the private sector through a public-private partnership arrangement that the government favours. And the road crossings would be toll crossings like Dartford Queen Elizabeth II bridge and tunnel. And the toll revenue would pay over the years for the construction of the 3 crossings. But inevitably there would be some public sector money required, and that will either come from the central government or from the mayor when he gets into office.
Miserable old day, isn't it?
If bridges were tolled, they could indeed be self-financing. But at the moment, we're actually trying to encourage more people not to use the roads. We need to get a balance, and we need to ensure that the public transport options are planned first to see how many people will actually move to rail or bus services to cross the river.
For many, the Woolwich Ferry is part of that balanced transport system.
It just shows you how clean the old river is now, doesn't it? You've got fish that. Ah, look at Cormorant. It's going down again now. It'll come up in a minute.
Do you know when you was in the army?
Oh, it's in the underground air force.
You reckon you could kill someone with just one?
I could grot you now. I could kill you. You wouldn't know. You know.
Just as the ferries get moving again, something else goes wrong. The James Newman is out of service for urgent repairs.
They've got a fuel pipe that's been holed, and we're just going to take it out and plug off the line for now so that they can start the engine up. They've got diesel being pumped out all over the place.
And the traffic builds up again.
I'm fiercely protective of the Woolwich Ferry, but we have to be realistic. The amount of traffic on the roads, increasing by about 5% every year. There is not the outlets to get from one side to the other.
This lack of alternative river crossings has left many businesses feeling like they have paid the heaviest price.
Businesses are becoming very isolated, and they're not expanding as they should do. In fact, there was a major development proposed at Galleon's Reach on the north side, which was cancelled because the crossing did not go ahead. The crossings would increase the business opportunities and bring more confidence and more investment into the area.
Road networks do not necessarily bring in the regeneration. It's getting people to work that's important, and so the public transport link, to my mind, is the most crucial. We need to get something done quickly. Bridges and tunnels are going to take a long time. The ferry could be revamped and improved quite significantly within a couple of years.
One of the ferries has developed an oil leak, so we have to stop running because of it, because of pollution. And the engineers are out there at the moment working on it.
The only way to reduce their workload is to add another ferry, and that means more money.
In the first instance, they've got to look at the ferry itself and actually upgrade this service that's provided. A third boat would give a lot of improvement at the peak, because quite often you've got a long delay when 2 boats are virtually at one side of the river. there's the potential capacity for a third boat could significantly increase the present capacity. Well, you'd be looking probably at a modernisation package of a few £1 million, which will bring very significant short-term benefits.
Present day replacement about £6 million per ferry, as opposed to 850,000 in 1962 for all 3 ferries. Times, modern times.
For today, they'll just have to make the best of it and do what they can.
Mambo Italiano, Mambo Italiano, go, go, go. You mixed up Siciliano, all you Calabrese do the mambo like a crazy with a mambo. Don't want a tarantella, mambo. No more the mozzarella, mambo. Mambo Italiano, try an enchilada with the fish bacala.
Meanwhile, the maintenance men are still trying to get the James Newman back into service. For now, the John Burns will just have to do the work of 2 ferries.
Got enough room to get out?
And the traffic will just have to wait.
I'd like to go down to 1 ferry. They normally run 2. I'm not sure. I really don't know.
It's often bad. Going back this way is often bad. I don't know why.
Even when it's at full capacity, the Woolwich Ferry can't meet the demand. It's 3,000 passengers a day. Doesn't look good against the Blackwall Tunnel's 3,600 an hour.
This way, sometimes there's an hour's queue, sometimes it's less, if you're lucky.
Come on.
But the ferry does much more than just take people from one side of the river to the other.
Come on.
We've been told by the Department of Transport that 2008 would probably be the end of the ferry as we know it at the moment. We don't exactly accept that. Whether or not we get more crossings, which we probably will and which we probably need, as I said earlier on, I still feel that there's a place for a ferry service at Woolwich. The 2 boroughs, Woolwich and Newham, have been used to a ferry since 1889. And of course, we're now into our 3rd century, if you think about it. And I think there'll always be a place for a ferry, if it's just to keep the 2 boroughs together.
At last, the James Newman is back in service, for now at least.
What will take the time is actually getting to the point of commissioning work on the crossings themselves. We hope it's going to be one of Mayor's priorities. It's important to get it underway right away. We hope that we're going to have the inheritance of this ferry. We hope that it will be something much better for the 21st century.
Meanwhile, the Woolwich Ferry gives weary travellers a chance to get out of the rat race, if only for a few minutes.
We have all the time in the world, time enough for life to unfold all the precious things love has in store. We have all the love in the world. If that's all we have, you will find we need nothing more.
Hello, John. All right, mate?
Everything all right?
Yes, everything's all right. Yeah, we've got another hitcher. There was an hitcher missing, so we replaced the hitcher. 2 of the life jackets still got to be replaced. He knows all about it.
For the moment, the ferry does have a real chance of survival, because roads are increasingly seen as a cause of traffic jams rather than a cure.
A lot of the green groups and community groups feel that the rail tunnel should be prioritised and the ferry should be improved so that greater opportunity is given for non-car based and non-road based travel across the river in this area. I think that the ferry should have a much longer life if it's refurbished and invigorated now, and that will benefit this community quickest and best.
Evacuation, you will hear a series of short blasts followed by a prolonged blast.
I've been to Leicester and Birmingham today. Just a couple of deliveries. I'm just going back to load up now for tomorrow.
I know I'm nearly home once I'm on the ferry, so it's not the most pleasant part in the evening because it's absolutely freezing, but at least I know I'm nearly home.
The ferry's not too bad because you can have your break and it gives you, you can have your time off while you're waiting for the ferry.
And we know that at any time that they could remove the charter that governs the Woolwich Ferry. But we like to think that the service we offer, it stands us in good stead.
If the ferry was to be taken out of service, a lot of people would protest, definitely. I know I'd certainly miss it.
It's a lot safer to go on the ferry than it is to walk under the tunnel. I wouldn't let my wife and children walk under the tunnel at any time.
I wouldn't take the foot tunnel, so I'd probably have to find an alternative route. But the problem is the traffic around here. You get stuck in traffic jams, and goodness knows what time I'll get home then.
I like the ferry myself. I'd like to see the service go on a bit longer than they do from 6 o'clock in the morning, and they finish about 9 o'clock at night. I've been doing this since about 1962, so it's just sort of a daily occurrence for me, really. Ferry's sort of like a lifeline from the north and the south of Woolwich, and it doesn't cost anything to get over.
Funnily enough, over the years, we really don't pay too much heed to government. We go on our own sweet way, and it's always proved successful.
As the road lobby battles it out with the Greens, and as new ideas and new plans come and go, the ferry keeps on chugging along.
It's very nice to go traveling to Paris, London and Rome. It's oh so nice to go traveling, but it's so much nicer, yes, it's so much nicer to come home. It's very nice to just wander the camel route to Iraq. It's oh so nice.
It's a comedy of errors, of